Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang in California. It's good to see everybody. I am live right now. I am choosing days and times that are convenient for me before I settle into a good pattern that everybody can find me in. I was at some point doing it at 5 in the morning at my time, and the pressure was on. The pressure cooker just, I had to take the lid off of the little valve to let out some air, some steam, because I was just dying under the pressure. So we all know that I have been here many, many, many days in a row. I did 1,942 consecutive days, and then I slipped up at 1,943. So it took 5 years to get to that point, and I want to get back into it. But right now, what I'm doing is I'm numbering the morsels of a thought according to the number that I've done. And that's not including the Instagram posts I'm making. I am still looking to understand the platforms. My learning curve is very, very steep. So you'll have to bide my time. And today, I have been, Wednesdays, I have been talking about my spiritual brother. He finally got a home. He finally got a home. And he's resting up a little bit before we come on and bring him on to discuss his story and bring him to tell everybody how he fared and how close he got to just almost not being well anymore. So at this moment, I'm going to read for you from the book by George J. Chanos, A Mindset for the 21st Century. The title of the book is Millennial Samurai. This is book one. And he has so many wise thoughts. It's crazy how he has so many wise thoughts. We were in the middle of the one called Social Media. We started to read this one, many days ago. I think it was at least a month ago. And I'll read you the highlights and then continue on to the end of the chapter. The highlights are that social media represents the first wave of the technological revolution, and it's already causing a significant disruption. Researchers discovered that the more time people spent on social media sites, the more socially isolated they perceived themselves to be. Digital footprints can create a permanent trail. This digital footprint can have serious repercussions in the future, both personally and professionally. There's a different author who says something about never getting your photo taken with a wine glass. Isn't that crazy? That was H. Jackson Brown Jr., who said that in one of his Life's Little Instruction books. Back to George J. Chanos, Millennial Samurai, which is also a life's little instruction book if you think about it, but it's not impinging on anybody else's title. This is Millennial Samurai. Okay. If teens aren't getting enough practice relating to people face to face and in real time, many of them will grow up to be adults who are anxious about our primary means of communication, talking. The other big danger that comes from kids communicating more indirectly is that it has gotten easier to be cruel. We forget that relational aggression comes from insecurity and feeling awful about yourself and wanting to put other people down so you feel better. And then a quote by Alexander Nix, NIX, CEO of Cambridge Analytica, says, "We are a behavior change agency." Okay. And then same company, Cambridge Analytica, a quote by Brittany Kaiser. In 2018, data surpassed oil as the most valuable asset on Earth. And then We should generally hold the First Amendment inviolate, but certain incidents illustrate that we are now in uncharted waters. This is George J. Chanos speaking. What happens when we become surrounded by false and hateful speech? We have already seen state actors use social media in an attempt to influence public opinion. We know that algorithms exist that can be used to disguise computer generated speech as an outpouring of authentic human opinion. We know that the human brain is extremely malleable, with more than 95% of information entering through our unconscious brain outside of our conscious awareness. We know that scientists and researchers are getting much closer to being able to hack the human brain. We know that we have an increasingly ignorant and easily distracted public that is highly susceptible to being misled. And we know that social media, a relatively recent phenomenon whose true impact is still unknown, will play an enormous role in shaping public opinion. These are all issues that we need to be discussing. Old rules and perceptions may no longer apply or serve us well, and we certainly shouldn't blithely assume that they will. America's greatest strength and greatest liability may simultaneously be spelled out in the First Amendment. The very idea that we now have to view the First Amendment as anything but inviolate illustrates the depth of the water around us. Limiting the amount of time you spend on your computer provides a healthy counterpoint to our growing obsession with social media and technology, but we must do more than simply self-limit our access. We must try to understand the broad implications of this powerful new technology and use it to advance our collective objectives rather than sit back and watch as it is used by others to undermine our shared interests. Okay, that was the part on social media. The next time we visit this book, it will be on the next chapter, racism. Racism has existed for thousands of years, and despite the best efforts of many, it continues to be an intensely emotional and polarizing issue for millions of Americans. That's what he says at the beginning, and it's a short chapter that we can go through next time, I think. Okay, so we will talk to you again later. These are words of wisdom by George J. Chanos. Okay? Millennial Samurai, Book 1, A Mindset for the 21st Century. I'll talk to you again later. Old Kinderhook.